Welcome to the house, the one they talking about. Word of mouth, the boxing PlayHouse, without a doubt. All the latest and greatest boxing news, that's what it's all about.
What's up? This is your girl Sakura A and Emilio Santana.
What's up, y'all?
And we're excited about boxing because it's the end of 2023. And I can't wait to talk about all the things that happened this year and all the things to come in the future. I mean, Emilio, have you ever in your life seen a year with so many upsets and so many big upsets? Can you think back in the past and think about anything that you think could have compared to 2023's upsets?
2021?
2021's upsets?
You know, jumped into the future.
Wow, I jumped to 2023. That must be our year, huh?
Can't really think of a year offhand. Just it seemed like so much happened this year. Ups and downs, boxing, all kind of things going on in this year here. This year here just sticks out to me with just, a lot of, ups and downs, really. So can't think of no other year that really stands out, for me. But this year here just seemed like it was just a lot of ups and downs, turnarounds, upsets. So I can't think of no other year.
Well, I mean, personally speaking, I felt that this was a totally mixed up year on a bunch of different levels. Of course, we did have some matchups that weren't scheduled that ended up being last minute replacements, and then it was an upset. So, I mean, first of all, that comes to mind for me in that realm is Pacquiao versus Ugas, because I do honestly consider that an upset. And then also there was Kenneth Sims Jr., who just recently, just like past weekend, fought Keyshawn Davis in a last minute replacement situation for both of them, and they decided to fight each other. And of course, the B-side, which I don't know why he was considered a B-side other than Keyshawn was, uplifted to be something special, which I'm sure he still is. But he's still in the grooming process. Whereas Kenneth Sims, he's more experienced, and he was able to come out with another W that, basically shocked the boxing community, especially since he had the Elvis Rodriguez win. Those were two upsets. Then we had Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia had the upset again with him. And now I can't remember the guy's name. This is not good. I forgot. And I swore I didn't want to forget some of these, they supposed to be underdogs, and then they end up winning the fight. But
Sims did it twice this year.
Sims did it twice this year, yes.
Like the prospect killer.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good name. I'm sure he might like that name. I'm going to have to, jot him over a note and say, hey, do you know they're calling you the prospect killer? I think he might like that, actually. But
it fits.
Now, of course, you did have the upset, which I consider the upset of the year, and that was Kambosos versus Lopez. That ended up being Kambosos' fight. To lose, basically. And that was so shocking in the way that it happened, because it wasn't just like a loss that was close. It was still a great fight, but it was like Kambosos was, handling business. He was in control that entire fight, in my opinion. So that's what made that so much of an upset for me. Did you have any other ones that you were thinking about?
Well, the AJ Usyk fight, I know that was an upset. Even though a lot of people picked Usyk too, though. Usyk coming up from cruiserweight, beating Joshua, setting Joshua back again. That was a minor upset. Trying to think what else we had this year.
That was Mikey Garcia.
Mikey Garcia.
Then it was Kenneth Sims. I mean,
yeah, what's his name? Even Michael Coffey got upset.
Michael Coffey, which
he got a rematch.
Shout out to him. He's in a rematch on the 1st this Saturday. And hopefully we can see him redeem himself on a win. And also we're hearing things here in the Florida area that he wasn't 100% going into that fight, which for me, I kept saying it. You kept saying it, like something is kind of, he didn't look like the same boxer. So I'm going to have to agree that something just wasn't right in that fight with him. Shout out to Lisa McClellan.
What's up, Lisa?
She says, hey, y'all.
What's up, Lisa?
And then we got Louis Acevedo. He says, family. What's up, fam? We appreciate both of you guys joining us tonight for our end of 2021.
Even though, what's the name, had a fight in the MMA, it was an upset for her, even though it was her first MMA loss, Clarissa Shields.
That's true. She did have a lot
for her.
Oh, Nunes. That was another upset that just happened.
Big upset right there.
I'm just finally remembering who it was that beat Mikey Garcia. That the guy's last name was Martin. Yeah. So he came from Australia too. So Australia had a brilliant year with Cambosis in him too. But okay, so what would you like to start with? I mean, I've got Kenneth Sims Jr. saying I still fight at 140. My opponent tested positive for COVID the day before weigh-ins, and they gave me the option to fight Keyshawn Williams at 147 that morning of the fight. Kenneth Sims Jr. says that about why he was fighting at 147. And even though he fought at 147, he still did an amazing job. But he's saying that he's really a 140 pounder. So he didn't want people to get confused on that. But I didn't realize that was a last minute replacement, really. So, you know, that's where it came into play that I was like, wow, okay. So this was really like, you know, a last ditch type thing for him. And he ended up winning with no problem. So congratulations to him. We're going to go ahead and we're going to skip on to who I feel is he graduated. I'm saying that he upgraded this year. I'm saying from 2021, he went from one status, and now at the end of the year, he's upgraded to contender status. I'm saying it now. I'm saying it loud. I'm saying it proud. Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico, yes, I'm saying it is Z. I call him the XZ or YZX or whatever you want to call him. Xander Zayas. I mean, to me, Xander Zayas did his thing this year. Nobody can deny it. He started out as a contender. He fought in like 6 fights this year. I mean, he was constantly in the ring. And we could see improvements. We saw improvements the entire year. And now I'm saying he upgraded his status to contender. Do you agree or not?
Yeah, I totally agree with Xander. He's very exciting, well-rounded young man. You know, very, very poised in the ring for somebody his age. I see great things coming out of him. You know, in that junior middleweight division. You know, he's got his head on his shoulders. You know, he looks like he's a student of the game. He's just well-rounded, man. Great power.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's fighting on a regular. So as long as he keeps his head on focus, I think he's gonna see some great things out of this young man right here.
Yeah, for sure.
Very, very.
I'm ready for the rest of it now. I do have another prospect that I want to give a shout out to, and I hope they feel that next year would be a breakthrough year for them. But even though I'm calling this year a breakthrough year for him, because we did get to see him in action, and he was able to pull out 3 fights this year. And that is our favorite DC fighter right now, Mayweather Promotions, Jaleel Hackett, baby. Major problems, Major Hackett. Yes, I feel like he had a breakout year. Now, of course, he's 3-0, but he was able to start his career out on a Floyd Money Mayweather card down in Miami, pay-per-view, people.
What a way to debut.
Yes, that's an amazing way to debut. So he was already like having a stellar year just with that. Then he goes up to DC and has a second fight at home, which is unheard of, being able to fight at home at that level, basically with that many fights. I mean, he won that with no problem, and it was a great body punch that began that slow punishing. What was it, 15 seconds or something? So like he got him out of there in the first round right away. And then he finished up the year by being out in Las Vegas, or was it LA? Yeah, in LA, I believe. And he was on another big pay-per-view with Javante Tank Davis. That's right, it was at the Staples Center. So that was an LA fight. So congratulations to him. Another person that's a prospect that I actually want to send a shout out to is Lisa's nephew.
Oh, okay.
He had his first debut fight this year.
Junior.
Yes, McClellan Jr. He said he likes
Oh.
G-Man Jr. is what he likes to be called. So we got to give him some love too as well. And I hope to see him fresh in the new year and going ahead and making some major moves. Did you have any other prospects?
Young kid that was on the card, the Olympian guy, at the Afro, he fought a week or so ago. Very impressive. Can't think of his kid name. Wow, he's
I thought when you said Afro, I thought you were going to say Gary Russell, the third, the fourth, or the fifth one. I think your favorite is Antoine, isn't it? Antoine, Gary Antoine Russell. You were talking about him after his fight that he had too, as somebody that you like to watch.
The kid I'm thinking of, he's down in that lightweight division. He fought a week ago. Yeah, Cruz. I think he was in the Olympian.
I can't remember who that was. Sorry. Well, we got Ralphie Gonzalez with us tonight. What's up, Ralphie? He says Juan Rayo Valenzuela, also a fight to be watched. This is a fighter to be watched. This guy is who KO Lopez in sparring. Oh, okay. Sounds like a dangerous person. You guys heard it first. Juan Venezuela is another prospect that we need to watch out for. Now, of course, we got our Tampa Bay Prospects. Of course, we could go down the line and just, say a bunch of things about these guys around here. First of all, I think that a lot of boxers in this area had a really good year, despite the fact that it was a COVID year. But we definitely want to send some shout outs to St. Pete's Gym, Finesse Graham. I think he had a great year. Who else had a great year? Taz Brown, number one for Tampa Bay. And as far as fights and the number of fights and the locations of the fights, she went anywhere to get her fights.
And picked up a couple straps.
She picked up some straps, and she picked up a highlight reel KO, baby.
Oh, yeah, that KO.
Yes. So nobody can deny that KO. I mean, that was the best that I saw this year, personally, with my own eyes, as far as KOs are concerned. And then to know that she's a female fighter, I always got these complaints all these different years that, women aren't excited because there's no KOs anymore. They don't have the power for KOs. And she proved them wrong, along with some other women that did get international attention this year. But we're going to get to that later. Other prospects, anybody else that you want to send a shout out to as far as prospects are concerned?
Well, my man Sean Mason got a fight coming up soon.
Okay.
So the Untouchable Sound Mason love.
All right, I'm into the Mason. I'm into the Untouchable.
Our fellas
Just
coming out
really
of the
great
316
skills.
gym.
We got a lot of guys coming out of the
Oh,
316 gym. Of course, one of our favorites is Angel Illarasa at middleweight. Jaws Ocasio at Superfly.
Man, coming up.
Arietta, who's going to be on the card next Friday night on the 7th. Over in Orlando at the Caribe Royale Resort Convention Center. That's going to also be a great fight. It's TNK Boxing Promotions boxer, as well as Angel Illarasa. He's also TNK as well. So we want to send our shout out and good luck to Arietta, Jose, I think his name is Josue, the chosen one, Arietta, right out of Puerto Rico. So that's another great staple down in Ocala. We got Luis Camacho, the coach extraordinaire. He says, "Hi, mi familia. Agree with your description of Xander. But like Emilio said, only if he can keep his head in the right place."
Hey, that's what's up.
You got that right, baby.
So,
Coach Camacho always telling it like it is. That's the truth of the game. As long as you got your head in the game, the rest is guaranteed to be successful. But the moment that head leaves the game, you got problems. All right, so one thing I wanted to talk about is this WBC. Well, how do I say this? Okay, so the WBC is saying that they're going to mandate the Fury and Dillon White fight. Yes, basically, here's what it says. Okay, the WBC has reportedly now stated that Tyson Fury versus Dillon White is going to have a purse bid split of 80-20. Ouch. Damn, White. It's in a Fury favor. And that the fight will go to a purse bid on January 11th if they haven't made any agreements by then. So in other words, this fight right here is to happen. They're not going to be satisfied with Fury trying to make another fight with the Nordic Nightmare or anybody else that they want to try to skip around to. I guess the 80-20 split is basically because Fury would stand to make more money by fighting someone else rather than Dillon White. So I guess Dillon White is agreeable to this 20%. It's kind of an ouch and damn. How many times you gonna slap this black man over the face? Oh my God! Like 20% is a little bit. That's like really like you're basically telling his value is like that. And Matchroom wanted Dillon White to have this fight because it's been so long, and there was this mediation that was taking place. But they said that Bob Arum, Top Rank, was down at the WBC convention, advocating for this 80-20 split instead. So one was just trying to get the fight, while the other one was negotiating prices. So if that is true, then Top Rank really. They are professional and been in the business a long time and know what the end game is in some of these exchanges with the sanctioning bodies. Do you have any other thoughts about a Fury versus Dillon White fight?
I mean, it's way overdue, man. Dillon White's been the number one contender for a year or two. Even when Wilder had the belt, he was his number one contender.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's it seems like some guys get forced to fight. Some guys feel like they have to wait on their turn. It's just a lot of politics involved. But I'm glad he finally getting a shot. He hasn't fought since when he fought AJ, a few years ago for the world title. He fought a bunch of fights and got back in contention. So it's way overdue. So I would love to see Dillon White finally get his a second shot at the world title.
I know, but it's just hurtful, like when you see that the inequality in boxing sometimes. But it's a business, and at the end of the day, Fury can basically say, "Hey, I garner this much of my fan base," and Dillian White does not. So there is some math behind that. So I can understand. So that's the main thing I wanted to say about that. Now, are you ready for one of our big categories for 2021?
What's that?
We're going to go ahead and do the knockout of the year. All right. So basically, I did have 3 of these that I was going to talk to you about. And I want our guests to tell us who their favorite knockout was this year. And there's already been a controversy because the ESPN list of 2021, favorites, it included Jake Paul's knockout of Woodley. So some people agree with this, some people don't agree with this, and I'm gonna save my opinion on it for later. But what I am gonna say is we do have some other contenders out here. All right, so of course, one of the contenders is Oscar Valdez versus Burchelt. That KO.
Is that this year?
Yes, sir. That was this year.
I feel like that was last year.
It already feels like last year to you?
Yeah, that was a while ago.
Wow. Okay. Another one was Gabriel Rosado's KO over Mercusiev. Or Mikisiev. I'm sorry, I messed that up. But then the third one was Brandon Lee versus Samuel Tia. And I did find an article where you can see all of these knockouts there. But
They put the Brown in there.
no, they didn't put any women on it. They just did 3 top men, of course. So we'll have to add our own categories for that. Would you like for the ladies to just join the men, or would you like them to be separate KO, a separate KO winner with just women? You tell me what you prefer.
Hey, put them with the man. If we get a good woman KO, put it with the man. We don't see a whole lot of women KO, so if we do get a good one, just add it with the men. And see, Clarice Brown, that was a devastating KO.
Carissa.
Yeah, that was a devastating KO right there. I like
For who?
Taz Brown.
Taz was a great KO, but she is on the list on YouTube apparently for one of the best KOs this year. So we are definitely going to include her, and plus she's our hometown favorite girl. Yeah. Then of course we had Alicia Baumgardner with her KO over Terry Harper. There she go. And congratulations to her because she's now signed to a nice Matchroom deal. So congratulations to Alicia. We've been knowing she's been putting in hard work for quite a number of years, and she deserves all these accolades. So, I mean,
what about the Fury Wilder? That wasn't on the list.
I mean, it wasn't a knockout, but it was a stoppage. But we can add him to the list. Why not? Did you have anybody else? I mean, Paul Woodley was a good knockout.
Yeah, he was out cold.
But that's right. It is like, to me, that's like, okay, that's a true knockout is when you're completely out cold. So for me, it is only down to Woodley or Burchelt, like as like the KOs of the year.
The Woodley KO was so vicious that a lot of people still think it was fixed.
I know, like it's like who the hell would let these people like just knock them out?
Yeah, it's so shocking.
That's just crazy to me. They feel like somebody would allow themselves to be like to have severe CTE damage or never wake up from something, and they feel like that. But yeah, it's whatever. All right, Just Keys, my brother Just Keys is in the house. What's up, bro? He says, yes, Clarissa. Okay, you like that, Clarissa Shields.
Ralphie
Ralphie said, I like to see King Kong Ortiz versus AJ. Yeah, we would too. But if you think back, Ralphie, yes, correct. Because if you think back, Ralphie, you will remember that they used to be in the same state for a few years back, and we never got that fight when they were both with Matchroom even. So there you go. And Kenny Davis, he is the dad trainer of Kenny Davis Jr.
What's up, Ken?
He says, hello, BPH.
What's up, Ken?
Thank you so much for adding that BPH. Guys, if you guys can remember to put that hashtag BPH, that's the number sign, BPH. That helps us out for others to be able to find us. And, okay, so let's go ahead and read this comment by Ishe Smith, the former world champion and Mayweather Promotions fighter. Sugar says, honestly, it is a disgrace y'all even put this on the ballot. A guy who doesn't fight real boxers and the other guy isn't a boxer at all. Why don't y'all give Rocky the Lifetime Achievement Award this? And of course, he's talking about this knockout of the year that ESPN did, naming, they actually gave the winner of the knockout of the year to Paul Woodley. And, I think that, of course, there's some shenanigans in this. They've seen the numbers. They see how much money that's being made. And who wants to be against someone that's making that type of money? The other aspect of it is that was a very hard knockout, regardless of, and it was considered boxing. So, I mean, if it's boxing and it was a KO knockout, if it was the best knockout, then, hey, I say that's what the hell it was. But I went back and I looked at the Burchell knockout. And for me, I'm sticking with that as the best KO. The main reason why is because he kind of folded up, guys. When he was knocked out, it's like he broke down in stages before he hit the ground and was out cold too.
That was one of my favorites. That probably was my favorite of the year. I don't know why I thought it was felt like last year, but and he caught Burchell coming in. The momentum made that punch even more devastating. Him coming in and getting caught with that I think it was a short hook.
Right.
Caught him, man, and like you said, he fell down in like 3 stages and folded up.
Yeah, it was like a chair folding up, basically. Yeah. And so I still have to go with that as my number 1 pick for KO of the year. But that damn Woodley versus Paul situation was just as devastating of a knockout if you think about it.
Plus,
can you give him a knockout, like a second best knockout?
Yeah, we can give it to him, but like you said, the Burchell thing was on a high level. World champion. Both of these guys were world champions, so that was on a high level. So I will go with that knockout for the knockout of the year.
Okay. I mean, I'm with it. I'm down with it for sure.
The level and
and it was a nice setup too. Yeah. It was a nice setup, and nobody thought that he was gonna win. They thought Burchell was gonna come in and do demolition work on Oscar, and that just didn't happen. Sorry, Ishe. All right. So the next topic, of course, the prospect of the year for ESPN. I forgot to say that they chose their prospect of the year as Jared Anderson. Big baby.
Oh, really?
Yes, they say he had 4. He's 4-0 with 4 KOs, and he will surely be a heavyweight contender by the end of 2022. I mean, I could see him transitioning over to a contender status. If he gets an early fight this year, I think he'll be ready for the next level. Especially when we consider what boxers at heavyweight are, as far as where they are in the pecking order and stuff. It's only like the top 3 that people are like, kind of like, or the top 4. Because I am putting Luis Ortiz in that top 4 slot that people don't really want to face. They wouldn't be ready for right away. But I think that most of these heavyweights that's underneath that 4th ranking that he could compete with.
I give Anderson one of the best costumes of the year. When that pimp
Oh, you would like that.
White,
yes, you would like that.
In the cane. So he gets my vote for one of the best costumes of the year.
All right, I'm gonna let it go. But my Just Keith bro, he says Woodley should be proud he got paid, yo. The average UFC fighter only makes as net pay a $5,500 bucks. Oh, or $500. He said $500. The net pay is $500. So he's like, after they get through paying out everything, they really only taking home about $500. He says Wilder had one of the best KOs that I've seen this year. Wilder didn't knock out anybody this year, and Wilder he got stopped by Fury. I don't count that as a KO because he wasn't completely out. But damn, he showed he had a great chin because he was hanging on a few times. I thought he was done, and he kept coming back for maybe 2 or 3 more rounds. I think people were complaining that it wasn't stopped like 3 rounds earlier. So that's just a testament to how good his chin is. Okay, so you ready to go to our next category, guys?
Yeah, let's start.
I mean, I was ready to go. I mean, all right. I'm gonna get to it. I really am. But basically, we had this Twitter beef that Leonard Ellerbe got involved in, several Twitter beefs this past couple of weeks in the holiday season. So let's get started like this. This person named Steve, I'm not going to repeat his last name, but anyway, he says, I was told that Golden Boy is trying to make a fight between Ryan Garcia and Isaac Cruz for March or April. Hats off if they actually get this done. Let's see where this goes. And then Leonard Ellerbe says, all bullshit. It sounds good though. So let me get this straight. He's supposedly coming off a hand injury and they're trying to make a Cruz fight? Yeah, okay. He said, but you want, wait a minute, hold on. Anyway, he said that's a bunch of mess. So, I mean, what do you think about that?
I don't know what to say about Ryan Garcia, but I would like to see that fight. You know, he called out Cruz and said Cruz was a B-level fighter and this and that, and saying he would knock him out quick. You know, so hey, I want to see that. It's like a measuring stick to see how he does with Cruz compared to what Tank did.
Okay.
And Cruz is a tough dude, man. Cruz could possibly upset Ryan Garcia, so that's a fight that interests me. I'd like to see that.
That's true. I think Just Keith was saying that in years past, Wilder has had some of the best knockouts he's ever seen. Devastating knockouts.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so Leonard continues.
Especially the one they did with Dominic Brazil. That was
that was like the real
him out like that Jordan sign. He laid him out.
Yeah, that was a good day
a knockout
for Brazil.
right there.
Nah, that wasn't a good day for Brazil at all. Oh, we got a comment here from Ralphie. He says Ryan Garcia will win, but it will some very close also. People might see Cruz as a winner. Okay. Yeah. So he's saying it would be a close fight if he did.
You can't underestimate Cruz, man. He's tough.
Well, that's why it's not a fight maybe that Ryan Garcia should want right now, because he really needs to look stellar in his next fight because he's had the setbacks. So, I mean, it's not a time for him to have a controversial win or not look good, in his new second coming out party. For me, I don't think that's the right way to go. I might have to agree with Leonard on that one. All right, so Leonard gets into his next beef. Well, really, this is not a beef one, but he's wanting to point out some things because you know how people were coming after him about the pay-per-view numbers for Gervonta. Well, the Gates prices for Gervonta Davis came out. Nearly 4 million in gate prices, gate profits for on a Sunday at that. And he says, bet you won't see any vids and pods talking about this gate revenue. They still lying about a made up 50,000 pay-per-view number that can't nobody prove. You won't find not one real manager or promoter saying nothing, but Tank is a big time attraction. Remember, Tank is from the East Coast. So in other words, the fight was on the West Coast in LA, and he still was able to pack in a gate of 4 million, 4 million at the gate, you know. But he's totally right, because I didn't hear nobody talking about that shit. Once I saw this post, that was it. I ain't hear nobody else being like, damn, Tank sold out a freaking Staples Center. You know what I'm saying? with a last minute replacement. Well, with a second opponent. Okay, I ain't gonna say it was last minute, but it was definitely a second opponent. In which we were really looking forward to the Rolly action. I ain't gonna lie, I was there for all him and Tank and they beef and not really liking each other. I think that was amazing setup for a huge fight for pay-per-view.
Hopefully that fight can come back around, you know, Rolly can sort out his problems, whatever he's dealing with. Hopefully that fight will come back around and we'll see, you know.
Yeah.
So that was heating up the group, you know, to be an exciting, you know, press conferences. It was brewing to be something special to see. I wanted to see that fight there.
Yeah, I did too. So, you know, it's great. Now, I saw something crazy when it came to gate prices and pay-per-view numbers. Now, the other pay-per-view, that they said that it was a bad pay-per-view for Paul, Jake Paul versus Woodley. They were saying that it was 100,000 pay-per-view buys was a bad showing, and does that mean that it's waning out for the you know, the YouTubers slash you know, new boxer and Jake Paul? And I say, what the hell are you talking about, dude? I mean, 100,000 is more than most of these pay-per-views have gotten this entire year. So it's still like it. I mean, when you compare it to the other pay-per-view numbers, I mean, they're still on the upside. Now, that's my opinion. All right, so we also had, they were talking about this box office number for the Staples Center and Gervonta Tank Davis. And they said in comparison, KSI versus Logan Paul 2 was, let's see, at the Staples Center as well. And the gate was $808,000. The announced attendance, 12,137. Tickets sold, 9,312. Comp tickets, 1,265. So, I mean, on average, that's a lot more people Gervonta Tank Davis was able to bring to the table of the Staples Center than even a Paul brother. Yeah, so that's a good comparison to make when it comes to that particular pay-per-view situation. For me, I'm about over the pay-per-view shenanigans. And the reason why is it's like, let's start talking more about the boxers and the skills and the matchups and the real boxing, and let everybody behind the scenes and the different promoters and the managers and all that worry about the pay-per-view numbers and who's getting paid what, and you know, all this business aspects that you used to didn't have to think about as a boxing fan. You only thought about like the actual boxers and what they were bringing to the table and their matchups, right? Yeah, I'm over it. Stop it. All right, so All right, I'm ready to go on. Let's see if we have any more comments. Okay, Ralphie does say, if I was Ryan Garcia's management, I would fight him against Ricky Byrne or George Linares. Then with Jorge Linares, then get him set up bigger, then get a setup for a bigger fight. Yeah, those names do garner a bigger fight later if he wins those fights. Jorge Linares, whoo, that still might be a difficult fight for him. And let's see, Ricky Burns, he might be able to decisively get a win over Ricky Burns at this point in his career. So those are two that, yeah, we could say for sure that, you never know. It's definitely hopeful. All right, so let's go on. The next category. Oh, well, we had some more knockouts of the year that I did not mention because these cartels. Okay, so those were ESPN winners that we just talked about mostly. Now we're getting to PBC's best knockout. Their contenders are Ennis Booth over Delorme, Darrell over Hernandez. That was a devastating uppercut knockout. I remember that one. And we got Davis over Barrios. Okay. And then we got Maxeo over Seha. And I don't remember that one. I'm gonna have to go back and look at that particular knockout. Does any of those stand out to you, Emilio Santana?
Yeah, the one that what's his name? Darrell was that one stood out for me, man. I don't know, was it an uppercut he caught him with?
An uppercut?
Yeah, I remember it was a nice one-shot knockout.
It was a 1-2?
Yeah, it might have been just a one.
Wow.
Remember, it was like one shot. I want to say was it an uppercut? That one still stood out in my mind. The one that Darrell had. I like the Boots did, the Delorme.
Yeah.
Out
of those, I would have to give it to Boots. Out of the ones they just mentioned,
yeah.
That one was more flashy of a knockout, and it happened early. It was like a first round knockout. So I think for sure that's gonna be something that's remembered. Although that Darrell uppercut was serious business. Whew. Oh my God. Like it was like lightning fast too. So, I'm a Darrell fan. I like the dog. So he gave me exactly what I was looking for that night. He gave it to me. He gave me what I was looking for. All right. So we're going to move on. Oh, Ken says Darrell KO for sure. Oh, okay, Ken. See, he agrees with me. Thank you, baby.
You said.
No, I said Boots, but then I said that Darrell knockout was pretty damn good. Like it was a little viciousness there in him that's characteristic for what I like to see from him, and I wish more boxers had that in the ring. As you say. Okay, so now we're over at Golden Boy, and Golden Boy is they're saying who was their most exciting fighter of the year. Of course, they have Virgil Ortiz on their list. They have Sanessa on the list. They got Zordo Ramirez on the list. Munguia, Franco, and who is it? Martinez. He's another female boxer that's doing great things right now. So, any of those names stand out to you as a fighter of the year? Now, let's get this straight. This is just Golden Boy's fighter of the year. So, we can safely say that, out of these, who would be your fighter of the year? let's go ahead and start with Virgil Ortiz. We saw him once this year, didn't we?
Yeah.
Against Brown? No. I always get him and Hooker. Maurice Hooker and him. That was at the top of the year. I don't remember him in another fight though.
That's what I'm saying. All these fighters here, only one fight. Nothing really stick out.
Well, Sanessa has fought more than once. In her last KO, it was the same night that Nunes won her fight. She had a good Amanda Serrano fight that fought that same night too. Yeah, she had that serious knockout. So I'm gonna give out of all these boxers here, I'm saying it's Sanessa, baby. I'm giving her Golden Boys Fighter of the Year. But we can go ahead and go on with our overall Fighter of the Year. Emilio, have you had time to think about this at all?
Probably gonna say Canelo.
Canelo was your Fighter of the Year?
I think Canelo probably did the most, stayed busy, probably had 4 fights, picked up a couple championships, different weight classes, So I would probably have to say Canelo, probably his Fighter of the Year.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm not going to agree with that.
Who you got?
You know what? I haven't had time to really think about who my Fighter of the Year is. But there are some people that I think had some great year. They had a good year. I think Ennis Boots did what he was supposed to do this year. He's still, racking up the wins, even though people still don't want to say his name. I was hoping that Ben Connor would actually say something about him, but instead he started calling out Broner. I think Lorenzo Hunt, the juggernaut with bare knuckles, had a great year. He ended his year with a championship title. I think Kenneth Smith Jr. had a great year, proving that you can have some losses and you can still be on top.
Did unify the division too. That super middleweight
division. He did. Kambosos also won. That could have been a fighter of the year. The way that he was considered such an underdog in his fight. And he's now unified champion. KO Kaylee Reese and Alicia Baumgartner had great fights and great year as a Fighter of the Year. Let's see. Anybody else stand out to us?
Fury. Fury fought this year.
It was just that one time against Wilder. I mean, after that performance, he only needed one time this year. But I'm just trying to think who else could it be. Usyk had a great year with his win. You're right. He most definitely did. I'm trying to think. Donaire had an amazing year. He could be Fighter of the Year again. I mean, that was some big time wins. I mean,
he had a good knockout too.
He had a great knockouts. I think he had 2 this year. And he just the age he is, and just the level of love for the game and skill. Ali's grandson did have a great year. My brother is crazy about Ali's grandson. So
the biggest little bomber.
The biggest little bomber is Kitty Davis Jr.
Oh, okay.
You're a little biased there, Ken. You're a little bit biased. Yeah, I'm gonna let you slide on that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you slide on that one. Ken. But I like him, and he did have some. He had a couple of fights this year to round out his year. Let's see who else. Well, you know what? Barrios didn't win his fight with Gervonta Tank Davis, but there are some people that, even though they didn't win, they still showed that there's levels and they're in that level cap. And I think Barrios, his performance was really good. And let's see, is there anybody else I'm thinking about? I couldn't remember.
Was there a category for revenge? Somebody came back and.
Well, no, you just created it, though. What you got for
I was
us?
just thinking about Anthony Yarday when he got his win. Just got his knocked the guy out too, and he lost.
Anthony Yarday? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
He came back and then it was only, not only, but the second defeat.
Was there any other revenges? If, people that got back for revenge? Oh, Amanda Serrano also had a great year in the female category. To me, that was a good year for her. She got paid the most she had been paid in the last 2 fights, and she took full advantage of that platform that Jake Paul was able to get out for them. So I think they had a great year. Josh Taylor, he had a unification bout and won it against Jose Ramirez, so he had a great year. I was just trying to think, guys, anybody else that you feel like, had a great year this year? Gervonta has a great year every year, okay?
Same.
Yes, he has a great year every year because, it's easy when you laying out people and you selling out stadiums and you've been in Atlanta to Baltimore to LA and you're still doing, amazing things.
You need another award for where you been at award.
Uh-oh.
Where you been at all year?
Who is on your list of where you been at all year?
I might have to put my man one time up.
Oh, well, at least he came out of night. Like he came back and he's like, he established that next year is his year. Like he didn't, 2020 at the end of 2020, we didn't hear that. So
we didn't even see the Truth fight this year, did we?
No, but that was due to that, the eye injury and wait a minute, no, Danny Garcia was this year, wasn't it?
No,
that wasn't at this.
Earl Spence.
Yeah.
Danny lost that. He lost that fight for the upset this year. Danny got. Oh, Danny, I'm talking about Mikey.
Yeah, I'm saying Danny Garcia was that this year at the beginning of the year? Well, either way, he wasn't able to get his fight with Pacquiao, and he knew right away that it was a wrap for Pacquiao.
Early in the year when he fought Danny.
Yeah. Oh, shout out to Hot Rod. He got his fight. He came back after his hand injury and got a W. So he had a great fight this year.
I think Sean Porter needed an award for fighting everybody in his era.
Sean Porter, damn it, that is my fighter of the year. You know it. He has not said no to a fight. Every time he fought, the fight was close. I, damn it, am a Sean Porter fan. And then on top of that, he got to retire this year and right off into the boxing sunset, intact with all his faculties. So, you know what? I done forgot about my eggnog that Jason made me. You want some of it now. Okay. Here we go.
That special eggnog.
That special Jason Crosby eggnog, baby. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start heading out here. I do just have one more thought in mind, and I loved it when Tyson Fury was able to basically, when he gave a shout out to Pinklin Thomas, I thought that was just an amazing gesture. He thanked them for paving the way for, people like him. And it also shined a light on the fact that Pinklin Thomas is still not an International Boxing Hall of Fame inductee, guys. What the hell? He ain't did nothing no worse than nobody else has done in their era for them to, what's the reasoning? What's the reasoning? You got no reasoning. And this man I mean, damn, he's done come back in many different ways in his life.
Heavyweight champion.
Yeah, former heavyweight
WBC
champion.
champion.
I mean, what's the deal here? Like, I don't like that. I don't like that kind of politics shit. For real. Like, stop. Give this man his flowers while he's living.
Florida Boxing Hall of Fame recognized.
Yes, of course, Florida Boxing Hall of Fame, but I'm talking about International Hall of Fame, where everybody he fought has already been inducted. I mean, basically, stop the shenanigans. And shout out to Fury for putting a light on Pinklin and going out of his way to find him in a busy, at a busy event and making sure that he was happy to see him like that. Like, I'm just amazed with that whole situation.
So for 2022, baby, what fight do you really want to see made in 2022?
Okay, wait a minute. Ralphie Gonzalez says Tim Tszyu will fight for a belt in 2021.
2022.
It's a matter of time.
Yeah, Tszyu following in his dad's footsteps, man.
Yeah.
I like what I see in Tszyu. So in the junior middleweight division too, he was talking about a fight with him and Superbad at one time.
Oh, really? Well, then that would be good. I mean, he might still consider it. And then Emilio, your bro still wants you to check out Nico Ali Welsh. We've seen him. We saw him all three times.
Saw them knockouts.
Yes. I mean, there was nothing bad about that. Oh, okay. Thinking of which, I think Jason Crosby did send me a message. But I just want to thank him for that. Now, who do we want to see in 2022 is what you asked, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, who you want to see in 2022?
A lot of fights, man. On the top of the list is definitely Bud and Crawford.
Okay.
Definitely at the top of the list.
Okay, we going there then. Okay. You went right for it. So we going there. So my fantasy fight, which is also on our website, www.boxingplayhouse.com. I have my fantasy fight. You know who it is? It's Boo Boo Andrade versus Charlo.
One of the Charlos. Okay, hey, that's a matchup. Could have happened 5-6 years ago. But
yes, that is my fantasy fight. I forget about the shenanigans over at the Zone and who are, they trying to pressure. No, this is something that I've wanted for quite some time.
Damn.
This is something that you said like a couple of years ago when they were going to fight and it didn't happen. I was hyped about that fight then. So now it's even higher on my list.
They is making one of your high priority fights.
Yeah, what is that?
They are the fight you've been waiting on a long time. Brooke and Khan.
It's too late. It's too late. I don't want it no more. It's too late. They killed it for me. It's done. This is now should be categorized as an exhibition.
And I hope
sorry, it just should be.
I hope the heavyweight title gets unified, finally get unified this year, next year. That would be good to see. I hope to see Boots get a shot at one of them belts before the year is over.
Okay. I mean, when they stop playing with him too, they need to stop playing with him. They saying that he should be Spence's mandatory soon. I mean, they brought that up as a possibility. And what do you think?
Yeah, that would be a good look, man. If hopefully you can get one of them guys before they jump up, run to another division. So I would love to see Boots, Virgil Ortiz coming up into the mix. That welterweight division was heating back up with this young talent.
True.
Connor Benz, it's a lot of young
I like
guys
Connor
coming
Ben.
up.
I like Connor Ben. He looked really good in this fight against Algieri, and that was also a very good KO too.
Yeah.
That was one that I didn't think of.
Another big fight I would love to see is probably Benavidez and Canelo.
Well, how many damn must-sees do you got? How many?
I want to see Benavidez and Canelo.
Okay, I mean, I want to see it too, but what can we do? What can we do to make these people fight? Okay, you want to drag them in your ring? I mean, like your dad, like their daddies, and you drag them in there and say, get in there and fight. No, like, what can we do to make these fights? I mean, it's up to these boxing fans to keep pressuring people in the public opinions, and also show their support to that particular boxer. Because the new ready-made excuse right now in 2022, well, continuing into 2022, is they ain't no money in it. They ain't got no fan base. They ain't this, they ain't that. They are not popular, basically. And the only way that that's going to change is if you actually, as a boxing fan, go ahead and make it known that you are a supporter of this or that particular boxer. Like, I've heard people, they talking to me about who's their favorite boxer and stuff. And yet, if I go online, if I go to social media, they're not friends with that person. They ain't following that person. They're not responding to anything that they post. They're not sharing anything from that boxer. Like, so how are people supposed to know that you really are in favor of that boxer fighting a particular big name boxer? So you got to do your part, guys. And I'm not fussing at nobody. I'm just telling you the reality of how things are working now. It's business. People are in it to make money, not to make friends or fans. They trying to pay these bills around here and get these coins out. And in order to do that, then you're going to have to show that this would make a stellar fight for people. Shout out to referee Emilio Lombardi Jr., baby. Congratulations on those new grandbabies. We saw you being up there as the proud grandfather. He says, Happy New Year. See you at the fights. Well, we trying. You know that. We're going to try to see you every time because he's one of the best in the business for the Florida Boxing Commission. You heard it here first. But 2021, the biggest time Florida referee that had a stellar year this year is our resident referee, Christopher Young. He started out with the Mayweather card, and he kept getting the bare knuckles going everywhere, over all the way up in New York even. And then he came back and he had ended the year with the money fight, baby. So he is doing good.
He had a great year.
Shout out to him.
This is a pay-per-view star.
He don't want to be no pay-per-view fight. But I mean, he's doing what he loves. So that's the main thing, is that he's being able to do what he loves. So we want to send a shout out to Emilio and another Emilio, get it. And we're going to send out a shout out to Christopher as well as Tim Shipman over in the Boxing Commission. Oh, and of course, our timekeeper, Mrs. Cat. I love her. 2022,
we might see another Floyd Mayweather fight.
Okay. I was going to end the night with this. So this is perfect timing for you to bring him up. Of course, this week he made the boxing social media fanatics crazy by saying that he is the best ever. And people that say that Muhammad Ali or Sugar Ray Robinson are the best, they cannot convince him that he's not the best. And he pointed out some reasons why, Muhammad Ali shouldn't be considered the best. Number one is the rope-a-dope. He said he shouldn't be getting praise for leaning on the ropes and waiting until his opponent gets tired and swinging and then pulling out the win. I mean, do you agree with that statement, or how do you feel?
Well, Ali introduced the rope-a-dope as a tactic to wear George Foreman down. That was a plan, and it worked very well. He wore Foreman out, a guy who they thought was going to murder Ali, and Ali won the heavyweight title for the second time. And I think Ali just kept that, he used that rope-a-dope a lot after the Foreman fight, so I think that's probably what Floyd was saying. He kept using it, and later on in his career, he started taking a lot of punches instead of moving around the ring like he did as a young man. So, he did.
So you agree?
He did take a lot of punishment later on in his career. You know, he kept using that rope-a-dope after the Foreman fight.
Why you don't want to just say you kind of agree? Why you just
Floyd?
Yes, I asked you, do you agree?
Mean, he definitely got an argument. I mean, Floyd has an argument for things he's done. And he also said that Ali lost to a guy with like 7 pro fights, Leon Spinks. You know, Leon Spinks beat Ali, but Leon Spinks had just, you know, he was an Olympic gold medalist too, though, you know, just like Lomachenko, you know, he won a title. He only had like 3 or 4 fights. So sometimes the amount of fights, you know, don't really tell the whole story. You know, Leon Spinks was a gold medalist, him and his brother Michael. So he did lose to a guy with 7 wins, but he wasn't no average guy. Leon Spinks was an Olympic gold medalist.
Okay. I wonder what he would have to say about somebody like Pernell Whitaker. Like, I wonder what he would say about him as a top boxer. Even though I feel that part of a boxer's job is to always consider themselves the best.
Floyd, you know, Floyd has an argument because, you know, he won undefeated. You know, he won belts in multiple weight divisions. He probably beat more world champions than anybody else.
Okay.
You know, he did on a business standpoint.
He made more money than anybody else.
Still got his faculty. He speaks well, and so.
And he's still having exhibition fights.
Yeah.
He's still in great shape for his age. I'm not gonna say he's a liar, but what I'm gonna say is that every boxer that's a real boxer is going to feel, they're supposed to feel that they're the best.
Right.
When it comes to Ali, he is considered the greatest because he said it a lot, and also because he was doing some great things in and out of the ring, some of which was not popular during the time that he was going through it. And he missed a great deal of his main career due to his opinions and the way he felt about, you know, the war and things. And, you know, the way I am, I'm kind of similar to that. Like, be damned about what you finna offer me. Be damned about what you think you finna give me. Like, no, I'm gonna say what the hell I feel. And I'm gonna stand for something, because if not, I'm gonna fall for what? Anything. So these are reasons why he could be the greatest. Ali could be the greatest. And at the same time, Floyd can be the best ever, baby. I think both can be possible at once.
So
that's what I'm
sometimes
saying.
people get things mixed up with what you do outside the ring.
Yeah.
As humanitarian, or are you just judging by what they did in the ring?
Right.
So,
yeah. I mean, for me,
an argument, you know, that could go both ways, man. They both great fighters, legendary fighters. So, you know, I hate to even argue that point, you know.
Yeah, it's a winning it's a losing situation every time that you have to start thinking about that in a way.
Right. See, and then the heavyweight division is a different thing too. You're not fighting guys always your size. A lot of times you might fight guys way bigger than you, stronger than you. So it's you know, it's a different era, different fighters. You know, it's a lot of things plays a role in that argument. You know, Ali fought some killers coming up too.
Ali did.
He fought some killers in the 70s.
That's very true. Just Keith Barrow says, I would love to see Mayweather and Crawford this year. That's my fantasy. Damn, you want him to come out of retirement and fight Crawford pound for pound?
Man.
Wow. Okay.
Floyd would make so much money, but
oh my God, he would make so much money.
He would make a lot of money, but
then he's still like, he knows when enough is enough.
Yeah, you know,
his goal. His goal too is like to keep making money, but keep his faculties, and I don't blame him not one bit for that.
Floyd to take a fight that he knows, you know, high risk. I mean, what was it? Low risk, high reward. Yeah,
or high reward, little risk is what you want.
It's all about business right now, and putting on a show with Floyd. You know, Floyd might find that right fight where he can entertain and pick up a nice bag at the same time. Yeah,
true. And I mean, who could fault him? This is what makes me pissed off with different people is when they act like this man shouldn't be happy and continue to make money. Like, why should he stop? That he's retired boxer, like he still has a life to lead after that. And he's trying to make, you know, generational wealth. There's nothing wrong with that. And they know damn well they would too. You know, that's the whole thing. It's like you would do it too. Like, all right. So Mayweather also made news this week by also saying that Canelo, you know, he's tired of hearing that excuse that he was so young when he fought him. And, you know, even though it's true, he was young in his career when he fought Floyd, but is that a good enough excuse is the main suggestion here. It might not be. I mean, the reason it might not be is just because there are other young boxers, including Floyd Mayweather, that pulled out big fights. So is being young, is that a good enough reason to say you lost a fight? I mean, I don't know. It don't sound like I think it is, do it?
Yes. Floyd was, you know, he was at the end of his career when he fought Canelo. He wasn't no young, you know, Floyd Mayweather when he fought him either.
Yeah.
So we didn't get the best Floyd that could have fought Canelo. So it's hard to tell, you know, if you put both of them guys in their prime.
And they left, yeah.
You know, I would still go with Floyd if you had both those guys in their prime and put Canelo in his prime. I think Floyd, you know, does the same thing to improve him.
Well, they all know that. They just don't want to, you know, they don't want to set up that fantasy fight because,
Yeah.
I mean, the odds are always going to tip over to Floyd Money Mayweather. So they don't really want to even discuss that. And that's just the truth about it. All right. So you give your fighter of the year to Canelo.
Yeah.
Now for our big one in the end of our show. The big one is, what was the fight of the year? The fight of the year. The matchup of the year. Who, what, where, and when? Emilia, do you have your answer or do you need to think about it some?
Definitely got to go with the Wilder Fury trilogy, the third fight. Third fight in Vegas.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. The fight lived up to the hype, settled the score. You know, it was very dramatic. You know, both guys, I think we had about 4 or 5 knockdowns all together. Both guys hit the mat twice.
Yeah.
Then it was the ending was dramatic. You know, a KO on the end. So
Yes.
the fight had that ending that you want to see like in a movie. So I definitely.
They're gonna make a movie about that trilogy one day.
The whole thing.
The whole thing. Like they're gonna make a big movie out of that whole situation.
The emphasis was big, man. The stage was big. The fight, the hype was big, and the fight lived up and exceeded the hype. So definitely, that was definitely the fight of the year this year.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with you that has to be number one for 2021. It just has to be the fight of the year. I mean, it was the matchup that some of us said that they didn't want to see it, but then they asked wanted to see it. So, I mean, for the most part, we wanted to see this trilogy end with a precise, distinctive winner.
Yeah.
And that did happen.
No excuses. We didn't want to get no excuses like the last fight.
Yeah, so that
we got that.
Yep. And then, I mean, if I wanted to do a second runner-up, I'm thinking that T.O. Kambosos fight, even though it was one-sided, it was still pretty exciting to watch. Yeah, especially when T.O. like got knocked down in the beginning, and then later on in the performance in the 10th round, Kambosos did. So it made for some exciting moments in that fight. Berchelt Valdez was also another one that was really good. Most competitive, though, I don't know. Most competitive, would you still make that Wilder Fury?
That was, I think, the Porter Crawford was competitive to the end.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even know if Kenny Porter even realized how close the fight was.
I don't think he wouldn't have stopped that shit if he'd known that that was that close. I think he was more concerned about the way it was going to end for Sean if he wasn't of sound mind. But I can't take up for that crap he was saying. Like, even though you feel that way in your mind, like, I can't condone the way he acted. So he gets my bad daddy of the year award right now. On that one, he just is bad daddy. No. I mean, but yeah, I could definitely see the most competitive being that Bud and Sean Porter fight for sure. So guys, I hope you had a great night with us. We have had so much fun reviewing the year known as, ready for it? 2021. And we can now say goodbye to 2021 because 2022 is definitely sure to be blockbuster, fantastic, as usual.
What's the first fight of the year? King Kong?
It's King Kong versus Charles Martin.
And then we off with a bang.
Coffee's on there.
Miami, y'all.
Yeah, down in Miami.
Starting the year off right.
Little Cuba's gonna
And
be in the house.
The pay-per-view, that's another argument right there. We ain't got time to talk about the pay-per-view.
Yeah, you got time. Go ahead. You say what you want to say. No, you brought it up. We finna talk about it. What?
It's been a lot of pay-per-views lately, and the fans aren't happy. You know, this fight this weekend is King Kong and Charles Martin. We got Frank Sanchez on there. We got the Coffee rematch. I mean, it's a good card, but is it pay-per-view worthy? That's what a lot of fans are saying. You know, I thought.
So you talking about this specific fight being pay-per-view?
Yeah, this whole card is pay-per-view, and a lot of fans ain't happy. And then you got Keith Thurman coming up with Barrios. That's another pay-per-view. You know, so a lot of fans ain't happy with just getting out of this Christmas, spending a lot of money, and now you want us to go back in our pockets. So a lot of fans ain't quite happy with.
They don't care about us being on a budget. They don't care about that.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to remember that these are different promotional companies deciding to do these pay-per-views. It wasn't all coming from one company. Now, if they were all coming from one company, then I would be more upset about the pay-per-views. But it was like, you know, top rank pay-per-view, shared pay-per-view, top rank, and PBC. And then it was, you know, then it was the Zone, then it was this one, that one, like PBC with the Canelo plan. I mean, it was just back and forth with different pay-per-views that whether we could afford it or not, whether boxing fans could have it or not. And I think that's why it showed that the Morrell Jr. fight that was on Fox's channel, like lower channel Fox, ended up getting the most viewers watching with 1 million viewers. Because that's what happens when people want to see boxing, but they don't want to pay for it. You're seeing, like, you know, they're there for the holidays, they got time to watch it, and bam, the numbers reflected that. You know, so the numbers will show what they will show, so people can, you know, people in these companies can see when's a good time to have the pay-per-view, when's not a good time. They now all should have learned a lesson from the pay-per-views that were back to back to back. When's a good time, when's not a good time. So
I would say we do like back in the day, man. You know, build the fighters up. And then when you get the two good fighters to go at it, you know,
yeah.
Then, you know, people don't mind paying a pay-per-view. You know, like back in the day, they built Hearns and Leonard up. You saw them on regular TV, you know, and then they finally got to a certain point, you know, the people wanted to see that mega fight, and that was the pay-per-view back then, you know.
Okay.
Let's build these fights up, man, and make it pay-per-view worthy. You know, you can't just make every damn card pay-per-view, you know.
I mean, it's hard because you know, it's kind of like you wanna see these fights, and the fans want to see them, and in order for them to be profitable, if you make a big matchup, both of them opponents gonna want to get paid, and not paid small coins. Like, if you have a fight, you got to make that reward really good if they are potentially about to have a loss. And therefore, you're going to have situations where pay-per-view is necessary. But if it's not two big fighters and they both got to get paid. But the other thing is, when you make a big pay-per-view, like the Canelo situation, that undercard was lackluster because he wanted so much money. Like, you know, you don't want to make it overboard where you're not even being able to provide a real stacked card to make a boxing fan feel the value in that card. So, I mean, there's a lot to be learned this year from the different pay-per-views. And, you know, there's always this saying where you don't got to buy it. Like, if you don't like it, don't do it, you know? I mean, that's a big saying. Like, if you don't like the pay-per-view, you don't got to buy it.
That's when a lot of people get on their streaming thing, stream.
Yeah, well, you shouldn't talk about that too much because right now, these companies are trying to figure out how they can stop all that free streaming. And you can 100% bet on that. So all these people out here that feel like they streaming and they got it made, that shit is coming to an end. And the less people that's paying for these pay-per-views, the more these companies gonna need the pay-per-view. Because, you know, they're making less money each time when you're not buying because you're buying free. Because you're looking at it free. So we all have to keep these things in mind if we want to support the boxers and support the boxing. Yeah. Well, guys, we had a great wrap up. We want to wish all of you guys a happy new year, and we'll see you at the top of 2022.
I'll be safe.
You guys, we love you. Oh, I forgot. You can't toast without drinking. Be safe, Kitty. I see you. Happy New Year's to you. Just Keith, thanks for being on. Oh my God, you're right. We did forget about Shakur. He had a stellar year, and he is one of our fighters of the year for sure. One of the fighters of the years, because dang, I mean, he handled the business. He became
one of my favorite fighters this year too.
Oh, because I had been telling you Shakur, but you didn't want to listen to me.
I liked him, but that last fight, man, he really showed me some stuff, and I became a Shakur fan after that when he won that last fight.
Oh my God, it was so good. It was so and it was so surprising because people were like, "Oh, he's gonna stay on the outside. He's not gonna be hit, and this and that." And none of that happened. None of it. He was right there on the inside.
He brought back the pretty boy Floyd that night. Man, the way he was fighting.
Wow, that's a very, very good compliment you're giving him. For real.
Great fight that night.
Yes, Keith, you were right on time, bro. That was a really good boxer that we had forgot to mention this year.
We definitely forgot him, man. He's one of the top young dudes out there right now, man. That he's definitely gonna make some noise in that lightweight, move up into that lightweight division and get in the mix with Tank and the rest of them guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you later, and thanks so much for your support. Please go to Boxing PlayHouse YouTube, Twitter, IG, Snap. Oh, we don't got Snapchat. Thank the Lord. TikTok, IG, all these different platforms. And then, of course, we have our website where you can see some of my articles that I've written over the past couple of years and see what's new. As we go on to the page, we try to keep up with some of the latest news and what we like to do. So until next year, let's all have peace in our life and enjoy all the happiness you can muster. We appreciate you so much. From Boxing PlayHouse.